Great. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the November 6th Caroline Town budget public hearings and the November agenda meeting. So I will start the meeting with the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. And so with that, so first we're going to have the budget public hearings, and then after that, we'll have the town board meeting. In advance of that, there will be opportunity for privilege of the floor. So with that, I will open the public hearing on the 2025 general and highway budget. And to start all this, well, I'm actually start that process not taking comment, but making a presentation of the budget. So I will share my screen. Great, okay. And I have some notes here, better do that. What's that? Out of the way. I see what I'm doing. Okay. So the first part of the budget is setting the salaries of public officials. And to start that process this year, I have done this before, but I did a reassessment of the salaries of each position by plotting salary against population served for the Tompkins County towns. So that produced a linear relationship. And if the point for Caroline's salary for that position fell above or on the line, it didn't get changed. But if it was below the line, then I did the calculation for what it would be if it fell on the line and adjusted it that way. And then for all salaries of elected and for appointed positions, we increased those by 2.5%. So this for the public officials represents that adjustment plus the 2.5%. So that's why some lines, some positions, including mine, have a higher percent change than others. So supervisor went up 17.2%, highway superintendent 2.5%, town clerk 17.8%, justice is 2.5%, and council persons 4.6%. That oops. Yeah. This is my slide just to explain, and Pete's seen this many times in the budget presentation. So just to explain how property taxes, how we do that every year. So we go through the budget lines and calculate expenditures and revenues, and the difference is the amount we have to make up with taxes, property taxes. And we can reduce that amount by applying some of the money that we have that hasn't been allocated for anything, just the, money that we have in the bank. And that's fund balance, which are unrestricted reserves. And so the tax levy equals the expenditures that we anticipate for the next year minus the revenues, and then minus whatever we decide in fund balance that we want to apply. Since 2011, New York State's tax cap limits the tax levy to 2% or the rate of inflation. And that's, I will say it's not simply 2% because you get a growth factor and stuff. So there's a calculation you go through and you get that number. So you know what the cap is at a 2% increase. And so we have striven to respect that, but it is obviously an arbitrary number. The rate of inflation has been greater than 2% in recent years. And so sometimes taxing entities have to go over that. We adopted, as protocol, we adopted a local law to override the tax cap this year. Because if you don't, you can't go over the tax cap without a penalty. You have to, if you do, then you have to take out a reserve the next year and reserve the amount you went over to apply that the next year. So it's not a terrible penalty, but it's something that you have to do. So everybody knows what total assessed value is. We've gone through an assessment process recently. So it's just the total for all properties in the town. And so when we get the total tax levy, the total lump of taxes that we need to generate, it's divided into that amount. So countywide, so and that determines the tax rate. So so that's why people are sensitive to increases in assessment, but that is the process of countywide readjustment of assessment is not really what determines your taxes. What determines your taxes is what the town board decides that it needs to generate. So I'm blabbing away here. I want to make sure here are the data for, so the appropriations or expenditures is the top row for general, and I regret that in opening this on the computer, it's squeezed down the column. So that's expenditures and appropriations, the top one. General, 1,045,885. Highway, 2,181,666. The combined is 3.2 million. Revenues below that, substantially lower numbers. And then the applied fund balance, that I applied from each fund to strive to stay under the tax cap.
Mark, are you willing to take questions as this goes on?
Sure. Do you have a question?
Well, yeah, one very general question. I forget the difference between the adopted budget and the modified budget.
The adopted budget is what that's what we're working towards now. And so we will adopt a 2025 budget.
Right.
Then during the next year, as you go through the year, you may expend more on certain lines. And so when you do that, you'll modify the budget by moving money from one line to another. So those are the transfers.
Unless it comes out of the fund balance, that shouldn't change the overall budget. I mean, if you take from this line.
Exactly, it doesn't. But that modified budget column, it tells you how you modified the budget over the year for that particular line.
And towards the end, I see the modified is bigger than the adopted, so that means that difference came from the fund balance, correct? I think I did.
We're not sure what you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, actually. Maybe I can hold that question. I don't want to waste a lot of time. I am the only guy here.
So we are not generating a modified budget. We have the tentative budget we set. Then we agreed to changes and established the preliminary budget, which we're looking at tonight and I'm presenting. And the next stage will be to adopt the budget. And only during the 2025 year, as we're going through it, might we modify budget lines depending on needs that we, didn't anticipate correctly or whatever.
Okay, I get that.
Can I- Mark, can I add this in the fact that you may
Bookkeeper,
have seen where
Yeah.
we've gone up in budget versus what we passed for like the modified? It could be because we received a certain monies from a grant or more CHIPS money, and then we have to modify that budget because we got money brought in. So
right,
there's a couple different ways why that budget might be modified by line item.
that's right. And in that case, you don't want to alter the overall plus and minus of the budget. So if we get, say, a grant for $300,000, just in order for the administration of the monies by the bookkeeper and the supervisor, you create an expense line for that, that's identified to that, and a revenue line.
Okay,
And you budget them both the same, 300,000.
maybe that's what I saw earlier,
Yeah.
that confused me.
So, thanks, Velvet.
Yeah, thank you. And then the other question I have, just so I understand this, so the revenues plus the applied fund balance plus the tax levy equals the appropriation, is that correct? I mean, it looks like it is.
The revenues and fund balance are subtracted from appropriations to give you the tax
Yeah,
levy.
okay, well, that's the same thing.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay, so you go into the fund balance to take out, so it's a trade-off between how much to tax and how much to hit the fund balance. I'm surprised that you could hit the fund balance with 300,000, there must have been a hell of a lot in there.
right. So that's my concern too. So you have to watch that because you don't want to draw down your,
Right, you wanna.
those are reserves. So
20%.
anyway, so I'll be going through that.
Okay.
And that's a good point. So, the bottom two rows, show the TAV as the total assessed value of the town, properties that are being serviced by these taxes. And so it shows that in the reassessment, the 14.83% increase in the total assessed value. So, that just means that, that's the money, the tax levy is spread out over that greater amount. And so you do that division and you get the tax rate, per $1,000 of assessed value. So, these are the highlights for the general fund, for the A fund. And
Is there any way you can make that bigger or not?
I think I can. Let's see.
That's better for me. Yeah,
What was the new position created in the supervisor's office? It appears to be.
I'm getting there. So,
Okay, thanks.
So the A fund highlights. So, the first thing you'll note is for the supervisor's line up 86.5%. So that's a result of the 17% increase in the supervisor's salary and $40,000 for administration of the broadband project.
oh, that's in there?
That's in there. That's in it was in the budget line.
Oh,
that
okay.
I showed you.
No, I remember it being
That's
the budget
so
one, I just didn't
that's-
realize it was.
It's in that one, yeah.
The supervisor right there, okay.
So that's why there's an 86.5% increase
Okay.
in that line. For the clerk's office, 14.7% increase. So that's due to the salary increase plus a reduction in the contractual line. The safety inspection, that's the code office, so that's a 39% increase. That's due to two things, so we're staffing the code office now at 24. Well, this was based on what was it based on? Yeah, it was based on a full-time
Mhm.
position, code office position, but it's also, we had to put in the contractual line, money for the cloud permit, program that we're developing for the code office that, will help with administration and tracking of, building permits. Let's see, what else do I have? Youth, the youth services contract, recreational partnership, that went up a lot this year, so that's an 11% increased. Benefits up 22%. As you remember, the health insurance premium this year is going up 14%. The other part of the increase is just because of oh yeah, so this was based on two full-time, two family plans in the A fund. So more about that later. The highway budget is, so the road repair, basically you should ignore that increase. That is because of the number, we put the number in for the WQIP grant there. So that was like over $300,000. You'll see that this is only expenditures. So there's a matching revenue line. So it zeroes out really. So that's really misleading. There's not really 100% increase in the road repair line there.
Is that affecting the total highway? The 34% increase?
Yeah, it
Okay.
does.
So that's actually lower also.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And it's all, if you look at, let's see, road capital improvements, that's where CHIPS is. Again, it was the number that we put in there. You know, it varies between years, and it's also balanced by revenue line of the same amount, so it zeroes out. Machinery we budgeted, as we always do. And you can see the health insurance benefits up significantly.
Wow.
So 41%. So that's a combination of the premium increase and personnel.
By personnel, you mean you have more people to cover?
Yeah, yeah. So. Okay. I always put this in just to show these are the amounts we pay in insurance premiums. So health insurance, 357,000, 2025, 428,000, 20% increase.
How many people is that spread over that 428,000?
What about it?
How many people does that cover?
Covers 5, 7.
Good God. $60,000 a person?
It's not 50, but it includes, let's see. It includes HRA contributions from the town.
But 7 into 428 though, it's
Yeah.
like 70,
What's that?
or rather 60. Well, I just divided the 7 people you said into that number.
Would it be 60?
You know, and it's
Well,
like
it's just
60,000 a
people
person.
and plus families, right? I mean,
Mhm.
yeah,
Well, but they pay for.
Right. right.
Oh, wait, so I'm wrong about that. Sorry, I forgot about retirees. So I'd have to look at my spreadsheet. It's a lot more than 7.
Okay.
So,
And it would be a lot worse if we didn't have the multi-county
the
project, the
consortium.
consortium.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It would be worse if we didn't have that, and it'd be worse if we didn't have the Affordable Care Act, so.
So what's Of property, that's insurance of our. town
That's the
property.
insurance you looked at the other day,
Oh, is it? Okay,
yeah, with Paul Nesky.
yeah.
Yeah, that's just the, yeah.
Okay.
And then workers' comp, we pay about $50,000 a year for workers' comp coverage. So now I will make this a little bit smaller, okay. Go through the reserve funds. So this is, for the highway garage, A230, this is the balance at the end of October, $366,000. There's no, the expenditure line for that, excuse me, has been spent out on the work on that one building at the highway barn, so that's zero there. And then we budgeted our traditional $65,000 amount for next year. So available next year will be about $431,000 for the highway barns.
I'm sorry, I'm confused again. You budgeted 65, where does the other 360 or 70 come from? Did that come from?
Oh, it's been accumulated in a reserve account.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's, those are reserve accounts. They've been accumulated over a bunch of years. So for the town hall, we have 142 in that reserve account now.
Oh, so it's the sum of, I'm sorry, so that column that says balance 10/31/12. I can't quite read it, but it's 300 and something thousand plus the 65,000 gives you the 431. Is that
Right, sorry, yeah,
All right,
yep, yeah, exactly. So the right-hand bold column is the sum of the other three. So the town hall reserves, 142, we budget 30,000, so we have that remaining. That'll be contributed into the reserve fund at the end of the year, and then we budgeted 30 next year. So that'll give us about 202,000 for that, which is the lion's share of the town hall renovation amount of 375. A lot of it, more than half. And then the highway equipment reserve is at 24,000. That has been spent out for 2024. We budgeted 200, so available for town hall equipment next year will be $224,000. Important to keep in mind. Okay.
So, I'm sorry, one last question. Why did it say remaining in zero? I would have thought the remaining would be what's left in the bank there, 23.
Sorry, why?
Why is 2024 remaining at zero?
So it's been spent. Those monies were spent. So
But then what's the balance then? I'm sorry, I'm just confused about this.
so you're looking at the 2024 remaining line? Is what you're
yes, well, that column, the 2024 remaining column is zero, but there's still $23,000 in the balance.
Oh, so those are two different budget lines. So the 2024 remaining is the whatever, say for the equipment line, it's the town hall equipment expenditure line. The balance line column, that's the reserve account. That's not an expenditure line. So when we want to spend that, we have to transfer those monies to the expenditure line.
Okay, I think I get it.
So, that makes sense, right?
So the
Yeah, so
expenditure line
basically
is zero, right?
So the first and third columns more or less go together. I mean, they're related.
They're all three related. So actually,
Yeah, but arithmetically, well, no, they are related, so.
they all add up.
Yeah,
All
all right, well, that's.
so maybe the confusing, so 2024 remaining and 2025 budgeted are the same line, expenditure line in the two different years.
Okay,
So we're looking at time there. And we always budget them, actually, we've been budgeting them with those three amounts, 65,000 for the highway garage, 30,000 for the town hall, and 200,000 for equipment
right.
since Bob came on as superintendent. And so in the 2024 remaining column, you can see we've spent all the garage money this year, we've spent all the highway equipment money this year, and we've spent none of the town hall. So anything remaining at the end of the year will go into the left
Gets
and
rolled over.
it'll roll over into the reserve account. Yep.
All right, I think I get it, thank you.
So the punchline is the bold right-hand column. That's the whole point of this, is to let people know that's what we have to work with.
Yeah, well, I remember when we set up that highway equipment, Toby was the one that kind of pushed that, and that was like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Or more.
Okay. So this is a calculation of fund balance. I'm trying to make it so I can see everything, and so everybody else can see everything. Yeah. So this is just from the October trial balance.
Can you make that a little bigger? Sorry.
So can't you set it up to be a slide?
Yeah,
Can you
do
tell it
the
to be a
stuff.
slide and then
Okay.
it'll be
Maybe.
full screen?
Full screen,
Yeah.
Okay. Let me try to do that. Let's see.
Either go to
It would be under
slideshow
view,
or-
right? View.
Probably under view, right?
Yeah.
I keep
And there's this slide, isn't it?
Slideshow.
Slideshow.
Click on view. Click on slideshow.
Okay.
And then go to current slide.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a lot better. Very good. This is just what we have in the bank, the top two, savings and checking. Then the next block of numbers are things that we want to say are allocated, basically.
Okay.
So A230, that's money in the town highway barn reserve. A231, that's the town hall reserve. A fund impending expenses, so that's a lot of money, and I wanted, so that I did $375,000 for this project. I wanted to say, I wanted to cordon that off to say, I want to make sure we have that money to do this project if we need it all next year. And then the other is the amount, it's like $16,000 for the trail easement that will probably come due in December. So I wanted to be sure to have that carved out. Then the next row down is what we in the preliminary budget are allocating to reduce the levy. DA 233 is the equipment reserve. And then I put highway impending expenses. So that is $50,000 for the fifth payment on the snowplow that we already bought, and $60,000 on the next one that we'll be getting in the next maybe 6 months or something. So that's carved out, and then the next one is the $300,000 that we applied to reduce the levy from the highway fund. So total of that is 1.428, and so on, $1 million.
And then there's still, so that basically comes out of the savings, but you still got extra in the savings.
Yeah, all of that is in the top numbers, right?
Right.
That it's in the bank, and that's how we've divided it up,
Okay,
right?
and there's still some, but there's still an extra 300,000 kicking around somewhere, 350,000 that's,
You mean the difference between those two numbers?
yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. So, the next, rows are estimated expenses until the end of the year. Velvet and I just looked at each row and estimated. So A fund, 200,000, DA, 343,000 in estimated expenses. Revenues, 98,000 in A fund, 586 in DA. I think most of that is CHIPS money. So, so the estimated 2025 fund balance are, available funds not included in any of this. comes out to 479,946. And remember this, I've set aside the money that we need for this building, $375,000.
Apart from that.
Apart from that, so that makes me feel good, right? So, or I hope that makes you feel good, so. And then I divided that number by our 2025 budgeted expenditures for both highway and general fund, and it comes out to 15%, which is, that's close to our fund balance policy amount. And I would also say that, this is conservative because I made these lines for impending expenses. So if I loosened up on that a little bit, it would be a greater amount, but anyway. That's, now how do I make it? I just press,
Escape, maybe?
oh, it went, I just
Or
punched the touchpad. So this is the 11-year fund balance history, just to give you an idea of kind of where we've been and where we're going. So as of this year, we're still, it looks like we're maintaining a reasonable fund balance. It's not fluctuating wildly, is my take home from that.
Similar to 2019, it looks like.
Yeah. Okay. So that actually concludes. Oh wait, it doesn't actually conclude. So I guess the way I'm going to do this is, we're basically holding 3 separate public hearings on the 3 different budgets. The general and highway, it's because they have different tax bases. So if you look up the TAB for each of those, it's a little bit different. And I can't explain that. Like, I don't know why the lighting district is different from it's bigger. It's a little bit bigger than actually, somebody had an explanation. I forgot what it was. I think there is a good reason, but I know there's a good reason. But at any rate, this is 3 separate public hearings. So now I'm going to go into the public hearing on the Caroline fire. And then
Do we want comments for the public hearing?
What's that?
When are you going to take public comments for the?
I think
first
the
public hearing.
I think the best way to do it is at the end, because my last slide ties all of this together to show,
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah, I think this is a way to do it. Or well, actually, since
Well, I've got 2 comments on this.
Good. On this one?
Yeah, on what we just did. I appreciate if I can say them now, otherwise I'll probably forget them.
Yeah, that's fine.
And they both have to do with the fund balance, the 2 most recent slides. I would point out on the graphic slide, the one there with the bar graphs. Hey, Monica. Hey. Things look relatively even, but I think that's a little misleading because the overall budget has gone up those years. So by the fund balance looking the same, it's really tended to go down with respect to the budget. Does that make sense what I'm pointing out?
You can go back one.
Yeah, go back into that, if you don't mind. I think it's just one slide.
Maybe the little arrows on the arrow
That's what
pad.
backwards arrow.
There you go.
Yeah, that one there. That's basically calibrated as constant amounts of money for the fund balance, but if the fund balance, if the goal is to have the fund balance be kind of a percentage of the overall, budget allocations, then you would expect just
It to creep up. Yeah. No, that's a good point. But we do have a fund balance policy and we kind of watch that and we're, shooting for 20%, 15 to 20%. So.
But my other comment is kind of a corollary to this. Which is that it seems as though, and overall, I think you're doing a good job of this. You seem to, the numbers kind of seem to make sense. But I do notice that to keep the tax levy not as bad as it otherwise would be, you're hitting the fund balance a little harder this year than other years.
I agree.
You know, and that's not something that you can do all the time, I mean.
Right, I totally agree.
All right, well,
That's
that's
a
my
good point.
comment, I just put that before the town board, I mean, you guys make a value judgment on
Yeah.
that.
I totally appreciate that. I totally agree. When healthcare is going up, you know, when all these things are going up at way over,
Oh, I know.
2%,
they're gonna keep going
you
up.
know, you you have to really keep your eyes open.
And it might be interesting to at some point. Look at, if it's possible, to look at the data amongst all the towns and our counties around us to see what the trajectories of theirs are in relationship to us. My sense is that we're probably better than most based on what I'm seeing. I mean, that's just a sense, but it seems like everyone is struggling in general because of inflation and all costs going up.
Yeah, well, I know from talking to other supervisors that I believe at least like 5 other towns near us are exceeding the tax cap. And they said, there's no way we're not exceeding the tax cap this year. And that's why I was sure to pass the tax cap override, because I was worried that we might have to do it. So if we have to do it, we should do it, but
Yeah, it's a tough balancing act, but
the 2% is arbitrary. And it doesn't match with the expenses that we're seeing out there now.
no,
So-
overall, I think you do a good job of this, Mark. I mean, I've got a lot of beast with you, but you know, how you've been doing the budget
Thank
and
you,
the
Pete.
finance.
Okay.
really
Yep. No, and your point about the the absolute amount is different than the percentage, so that's a good point. So I am just gonna, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and open the public hearing for the fire protection district. Then I'm gonna do the lighting, and then at the end, I'll tie it all together and see, we'll talk. We'll see how it goes. So this, and these are really straightforward. The Speedsville workers' comp amount, it's normally, this is the normal amount, not 2,064. So I budgeted it low last year to make up for a couple of years where it was high. So it was a makeup amount. So that was intentional. It doesn't reflect true increases, and our workers' comp increases have been really modest. And I'm meeting with the workers' comp guy on the 13th, I think, so. And so no fund balance applied. And the bottom numbers show the levy increase that's due to that change in the workers' comp amount. And you can see total assessed value went up by 16%, so the tax rate's gonna go down.
So just to be clear on that, so the total, the assessment went up 16%.
Mhm.
The tax rate goes down 9%. But there's still an increase for if once. Okay, I got it.
What's the
I got it.
problem? Okay, you're okay,
No,
right?
I'm on, I am.
Okay, yeah. And this is the same, the fund balance history for the fire protection.
Why did it go up to 4,000? Why did we do that? It looked like it was 1,000.
Yeah.
and It went up to 3, and then it was 4, and now
I
we're down
know.
to 2. I'm just
I'd
curious.
have to look back, must have been, discrepancies between budget amount and what the fire contracts actually were, something like that. Or it was probably, it was probably the workers, I'm not sure, because the
Okay.
workers' comp is only 6,000 a year. So, yeah. Okay, right. There.
Previous.
And that public hearing is ended or whatever.
Oh, wait, I got something to say on the fire thing if I could.
Okay,
real quick. I know that the Brookendale Fire District kind of cuts the town a deal on the coverage they provide for that portion of the fire protection district. But I noticed that the Speedsville allocation hasn't gone up at all. You know, I mean, their expenses go up too. Are they cool with that, at that same 67,000? I mean, I don't see anybody here raising hell about it, so they must be cool with it, but I'm just a little surprised.
I'm not, let's see,
If you
where,
go back one, well, yeah, there you go. I mean, the Speedsville hasn't changed from one year to the next. I don't expect the Brookendale Fire District one to change so much because, you know, they're being nice guys about it,
Okay.
kind of cutting us.
so, so the Speedsville and, oh, so what's your point?
Well, my point is that I'm a little surprised if there hasn't been some inflationary type increase in the Speedsville Fire Company's allocation.
So Speedsville's, ask went up significantly last year because they're, planning for a new truck.
From 23 to 24, you mean?
Yes, and it stayed that way this year. So this reflects their budgeting. They, you know, their, it's their installment plan for
Okay.
purchasing the new truck. So they, this is up from 23, and so, yeah.
And they're mostly volunteers, and so there's not like staffing or.
No, they are
overhead.
volunteers.
They're
No,
not
it's a
overhead.
truck. They need a new truck and they have to.
Sure, I just want to comment though, it's interesting to me because when I was on the town board way back when, my recollection is that we allocated around 60-some thousand to Speedsville. And that was like, I don't know, 15, 17 years ago now. And,
Yeah. So-
I mean,
So the costs haven't gone up in that time.
well, I guess if everybody's happy, everybody's happy. I don't have to go beyond that.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what they requested. It is up significantly as of 24. And they did explain that they're budgeting for a new truck. I don't know the older, I'd have to go back and look at the older history.
No, they must be doing a great job up there.
Yeah.
I know that the fire district tax levies have gone up, you know, right
Yeah.
along.
Brookendale and Sladeville, yeah,
Yeah,
so.
so whatever, well, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
That's all I have to say on the fire.
So this is the Caroline Streetlight District, so it's very modest, now, nothing really to comment on. And here's this, erratic, behavior was when we were doing the streetlight conversion and
Oh,
we
right.
had some, big expenses and reimbursement, so. But we're good now we've got a decent fund balance and good shape. So, those are the three things that go into determining the town taxes. The tax cap is 1.972 million. The preliminary budget that, you know, we fed fund balance back to just get it under. And so, you can see that, this is a $63,000 increase from last year's levy. And we're 5%, 0.05% below the tax cap. So, that's the end of my presentation. So the budget public hearings are now closed, and I'll take more questions or comments if people want. And I want to get out of this. Okay.
Well, that was a good presentation, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your attention. So, I do have, yeah, so. I have some changes, that I'm
For the budget.
to the budget, and. You know, I appreciate Pete's point about. Being careful about plowing too much of your reserves into reducing the levy. You really can't do that forever. I mean, nobody would deny that, so. Let's see, did I send, I'll try to do that. With me for a minute. I'm trying to share my screen. Okay. I think this is worth doing. So, the changes I have are, let's see. That, let's see, that was not really necessary. It's. Okay, so. I did some, so there are 3 workers' comp lines, and before I had done 6%. Increase over the budgeted amount, but I did it 6%. I changed it to 6% over last year's actual, which is the way I should have done it. So that results in a change in this line from 22,052 to 23,144 for the A fund workers' comp. And for DA fund that I'm not showing you here, it goes from 25,850 to 19,702. And for that, for the SF, for the fire department fund, it goes from 680 to 6,703. So they're minor changes. For A, for A 9060.8, which is this 28,000 line here. So that was previously 57,652. So I rebudgeted that for one family policy. Based on anticipated need in the A fund for health insurance. So that's a significant change. And then I also changed the HSA line for the same reason. That went from 10,800 to 7,200. So that's, you know, I think that's worth doing.
Is that because somebody left or?
It's because of anticipated hires in the code office.
Okay.
So. This is the DA workers' comp number, 19702. So I already gave you that one. So the other change, and yeah. So the other, maybe because it's in the spreadsheet, I think I should change that too. So for the same reason for that anticipated, this is for the code office line, I budgeted it at 24 hours per week at $45 an hour. And that's what that comes out to. So I think we should make that change as well. That'll be- And so what these few changes, so I'm glad so this is returning to fund balance. I think it's worth looking at, so, and this is just sort of another way of doing the same thing. This is my little spreadsheet, so again, here are the reserves in each, so here's highway garage improvements, town hall, the A fund balance, highway equipment, and DA fund balance. Then this column is projected expenses. And so let's see here. And this is just these are the same things I had in that other spreadsheet, the $50,000 snowplow payment and the $141,000 for the mower that Bob is buying. Here are projected revenues. So here are the budgeted numbers for each of those lines again. And then I made a liabilities column. So this 50,000 is the first payment or the final payment on the snowplows, and the 375 is that amount for the town hall renovation project. So I pulled it out just like I did for the other one. And in this case, so I tweaked the amount of fund balance used. So for the A fund, 76,000. For DA, I made it 278,000. So from these numbers, it still gets us just under the tax cap.
Okay.
And so I would propose to tweak them to reduce the amount used for that purpose. It's still under the tax cap. And you'll see that remember these are estimates and everything. So this one comes up at overall at 21% for the percentage relative to budgeted expenditures. So I think I feel good about those. The other thing I'll show you is just to hopefully as reassurance. When I calculated, again, these are estimates, but based on expenditures and revenues through the year, and here this column is the net. That's projecting that at the end of the year, we're going to have 536,000 left over. So that would indicate that we're not spending down our long-term fund balance, right? We're just spending money that we taxed for last year. We're just feeding it back. It's like the appropriate way to use it, right? To feed it back to reducing the levy, so I feel pretty good about that. So are folks comfortable with changing the amount returned, fund balance expended in this manner? With 76,000 and 278,000?
Yep.
Okay, great. So with those changes, and that's a okay, so that's changed. So A3620.1 will be changed to $56,160. So with those numbers, I will offer a resolution to amend the preliminary budget with those changes. Seconded by Tim. Great.
Even though you couldn't hear my voice.
What's that?
Even though you couldn't hear my voice.
Yeah. So I just realized something. I'm not gonna offer that now because we haven't actually entered. We should do that in the meeting,
Okay.
not now.
Oh,
So,
we're not in the meeting yet.
yeah,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
not in the meeting, so.
Oh, we're still in the,
I rescind my second.
So I wanted to show you the spreadsheet so I could show you how that changed things. So are there any other questions? So I will now take any further comments or recommendations or admonitions or.
thank you for working so hard on this.
Sure. I have to. Okay, great. So with that, thank you all. Now I'll close the public hearing and open the agenda meeting. And I will start just to ask if anybody has privilege of the floor comments. I see we have two people here. I know Monica's going to talk to us about something else. So yeah, great. So I will now open the agenda meeting and welcome Monica Roth to tell us about where the ag plan is at.
Yeah, so I need to say that we're closing in on the completion of this effort.
So.
How are you? And you know, we've started this journey. It was kind of the beginning of 2023. And, you know, most of 2023, we were doing some background work, research, and 2024 kind of formulating the ideas that we'd gathered and putting them into a plan. And unfortunately, the actual effort of getting our person who was, you know, helping us with the layout of the plan, that part took like 3 months because she's a busy graphic designer who also has a full-time job and who also has a farm. But we got the plan in a format that we're ready to present to the town. And then your next step is to hold a public hearing. We set the date tonight for the public hearing, and that's part of the state's requirement. And obviously the town has, you notify the public for that, about that.
Yeah, we'll put out a legal notice and everything.
Okay, great. And so that's an opportunity for public comment. We do have this on the website. Mike put it up on the website. It's probably the easiest place to go see it. I know some people, I sent it out, and I think some people, because the Google Doc was too long for some people to open. It's easier from the website. And so we hope we get some feedback. Pete's already suggested or suggesting to me that I should put some photo locations in here because he's not sure where these locations are. Our photos were,
I think there are two that aren't in the town.
yeah, they might be. Mike Ludgate gave us some, I asked him for some photos and he did tell me some of these are in Cortland County, so I might have, we might have picked out some. I'll have to look.
I thought they looked good.
Yeah, okay, and then you know, we didn't put credits under the photos, that's something that bothered me, but anyhow, we just left them off. So if anybody objects to that, it's not a major thing, but so, but if there are, you know, comments about the recommendations and or the data or questions, we're happy to take all that. That's what the public hearing is for. And what our intention is, maybe not to rewrite this document, but to include it, all the public comments at the end of the document. And so that there is a record of all the comments. It's not to say that it's, you know, the comments are going to be lost, but hopefully there's nothing that's going to have to cause this to be rewritten. Or even edited in a big way. Small edits are probably okay. So after we get the public hearing, the Ag Committee is meeting on the 14th, which is next Thursday. And we're having a dinner, which we invite all of you to. It's sort of a celebration.
Where is that? Is that
At the community center. And well, a couple of the committee members have been planning it as a farmer to farmer networking meeting, which is one of the recommendations in our plan, is to encourage farmers to get together, to get to know each other more and sort of build a better, stronger community of agricultural producers. That was something that the original farm community, the one that's been around for 50 or 100 years, has said there's always been a strong connection. That's something we heard from them. And so we hope that we can continue to build that as part of the goals of the agriculture plan. And I think it's one way, you know, you have a lot of sheep producers, you have a lot of people with horse owners, you know, if those people are networking, I see that there are opportunities for growing the sector and also potentially looking for ways to save money.
Yeah.
You know, you learn from your neighbor farmer that you can buy something here as opposed to there, you know, and maybe it just strengthens the operations when you learn from each other. So we're sort of excited to foster that opportunity for people to get together. So starting with our next meeting, the committee will officially adopt the plan at that meeting. And then after the public hearing and on December 4th, I think then at your December 4th meeting, that it's up to you to act. And that then gets packaged and sent to the state. I did already send the document to Jeff Kehoe, who is our state Ag and Markets liaison, and he will, I asked him to give me some feedback even before the public hearing, so we know, you know, we could read whatever the state says, if there are any comments they have. So that's in process. And it also goes to the County Agriculture and Farmland Protection Board. And they also just take a look and say, nice job, or, you know, why didn't you do this or something? So we'll hear from them as well. We'll package all that, send it to the state, and then the project is done, but the work continues with the Ag Committee and the recommendations that are part of the plan. So, you know, it's been an interesting learning process. You know, there's more that could be done, but, you know, and that's part of what the recommendations point to, especially from the, you know, potential ways that the town could look at conserving agricultural land and helping farmers to conserve ag land. So we're hoping to have some workshops in the winter to help landowners understand opportunities for farmland protection. So the committee, I think, is hopefully going to keep chugging along.
This is fantastic. When the town board established the agriculture committee, I don't think we envisaged anything as forward-looking and comprehensive as what you've come up with through the grant that you got. So think we're all really deeply appreciative, and it just shows the value of when we're able to rely on the participation of volunteer members of a town committee. So thank
Yeah.
you, with your help.
Well, my pleasure, of course.
Yeah,
There's a hard copy if you want one. Will negotiate how many copies we'll end up producing. I sort of just stapled them on the left side, and I realized I should have put 2 staples in so it doesn't flop around. But I do have the bill from WorkPro for you as well,
Okay.
for the copies, which again should be paid
okay,
either as part of the town's match or
yeah,
from the grant funds, so.
great. I will put that in the hopper.
And I'm working on the final financial
Okay.
summary too, and I can
Okay,
meet with you sometime to go over that so you can get the grant
that'd be
money
great.
back. And
Yeah, just to get it,
the state obviously is always ready to have those invoices submitted to.
yeah, they wanna, wrap
We're
it.
actually, when I talked to Jeff a while ago, he said that, I said, well, I thought we were supposed to be done in the middle of July, but maybe that was my intention originally. But he said, oh no, some towns take 3 years, so we've done it in 2.
Yeah.
So,
Our, I've asked you this before, but is part of the town's match going to be like volunteer?
it can be in kind.
Is that something you'll generate or staff?
We can talk about that
Oh,
together,
okay.
maybe. I think it's, you can count your staff time, you can count, they did, well, mostly they helped with the mailing we did early in the process.
Okay,
Last year, they helped with the mailing.
oh, I see what you mean.
You had
I was
mailing.
thinking of volunteer time. And
We
how
can
you would
account
deal
some
with that.
volunteer time too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I'll kind of help put that all together and then, so
okay.
you get the match amount you're, supposed to.
I just, yeah, whatever your
I'm not-
experience is, how to do
I'm
it.
not completely sure we've even spent the full amount of the 25,000.
I'm guessing not,
I don't think so.
but,
We have to get George's bill, keep bugging him about that, and,
I think we got a bill from
oh, you
George.
did? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
How hard he hit us?
Pardon me?
How hard did he hit us?
There was a budgeted amount of 5,000 or something.
It was a little over, yeah.
I should get George's job.
So, that's where we're at. Okay.
Thank you,
And
Monica.
I should also say that we probably have another 50 pages at least that are part of an appendix that we realized as this document was getting too long, we sort of started pulling out the things that we thought were, well, just extra information, but really didn't focus in as closely on the sort of the basics of the plan. So we do have a whole appendix section, which we can also put on the website, which that serves again for the committee to, it serves as a reference. There's lots
Resources,
of
yeah.
additional resources in the appendix.
We can take turns reading that.
Yeah, right.
Out loud.
So anyhow,
That's great. I haven't read it yet, but it looks nice from.
yeah,
Yeah.
you make it look nice and no. So, all right, well, we're happy to have it,
Thank you.
to pass it on to you.
Thanks so much.
It's a bit frustrating and because the data seems a little fuzzy, but if you have questions about it, let me
Okay.
know.
We'll have a public hearing and anyway, we can have feedback before then or, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that, maybe we should just go ahead and I'll offer a resolution to hold a public hearing on the Caroline Farm and Agriculture Protection Plan on November 20th at 7 PM at the Caroline Town Hall.
I'll second that.
Any further questions or comments? And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Great, so it's set.
Okay, thank you. We'll move in the
We
process.
will
along.
send out legal notice. And
Okay,
the one thing I'm worried about is.
I guess I can leave those for you. I got it.
Your meeting next week. I know Don set something, put in the newsletter. we're still due to get that out, maybe, it's gonna be,
Well, we have a pretty good email list to the Carolina
Do you?
Ag list.
okay,
So we'll make sure that goes.
okay, that's gonna be really
Carolina Ag
important,
list.
because I'm,
Is it this Thursday?
No, 14.
Before.
it's next Thursday,
Next
a week from
Thursday.
tomorrow.
Okay,
Great.
all right.
So, we're not gonna get this thing in the mail. If we get Monday, we'll be lucky. And
No, I
hopefully
see.
get to it.
So that's for your town newsletter?
Yeah,
Yeah, mail out.
Okay, well, we'll have that email go out. Yeah, but it is supposed to go out broader.
okay, we'll see what we can do.
We can send it on the town listserv.
Yeah,
Definitely,
we could do the town listserv.
we'll do the town list.
Um, There are a couple of Facebook groups.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, I know we used quite a lot of different groups when we did the festival in August, so I
And that was very
think they
good.
have a pretty good
Successful.
list of
Good, yeah.
what to use.
Yeah.
So I'll work with Eric on that.
Okay,
Right, here's one of our ag reps and another of our ag reps, and we thank them too for their involvement in the
great.
process, so. All right.
Well, the ag season just
Yeah.
seems to get longer and longer.
Yeah, okay, that's for sure. We barely have had a frost in town. You probably have had.
Yeah,
Frost
at least
out here.
one major one.
I've had like 6, I'm kind of in a frost pocket.
Okay. All right, well, I'll let you finish your business.
Thanks so much, Monica.
Yeah.
Thanks, Monica.
Okay, so with that, the public hearing. Let's see. Did I forward you guys that? So, I wanted to add to the agenda consideration of, the dog license fees that Jesse asked us to consider. Is that okay?
Sure,
Can we do that now?
sure.
So,
Do we need to add to the agenda the code office or is that executive?
yeah, and I'll also add executive session to discuss the personnel for the code office. And this is what Jesse sent here, if anybody wants to have a copy to look at. And I did ask her about it, maybe she wrote it in here, I don't know, I don't think so though. But she listed the fees there, and you can see ours are a little low
Mhm.
compared to the others.
But she doesn't seem to have made a recommendation for the increase.
Yeah, I texted her about it today. Here's what she wrote. I was checking it to make sure
This, kind of ends in the middle of a sentence.
yeah, I think I missed the last page.
Okay.
Let's see, there we go. But she was recommending $2 increase for spay, neuter, and a $3 increase for unspayed. So that
So
would
it'd be
bring it up to
12.
12 and 25.
Okay.
I
So
had-
7, 12, and 25.
Yeah,
7, yeah.
she wants to keep the senior constant, where it is at 5.
Oh, okay.
She feels like it should stay at 5. We're the only town that offers a senior discount. And she likes that.
I like that.
Let's keep it the same.
Yeah.
So, so I'm happy to support her recommendation.
Mhm.
That seems reasonable to everybody.
Mhm.
So that I'll offer a resolution to increase the licensing fees for dogs to or as, $5 for seniors, $12 for spade and $25 for unspayed. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Michelle. Any further questions or? Okay, okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Adopted unanimously. Great. And if people have a chance to look at the minutes of October 16th, any comments on the minutes?
Me.
Yeah, I think I looked at them and they were fine.
So minutes are hereby approved. Thank you, Jesse. And so now I'll offer a motion to enter executive session to
Do we need
discuss.
to discuss agenda items for next meeting?
Oh, maybe we should do that first?
Yeah,
Okay.
just keep the executive session at the end.
Yeah, actually, and
Usually do.
I forgot committee reports too. So why don't we do committee reports and then we'll do agenda items? So, yeah, sorry about that.
What about the budget changes?
Yeah, pretty good point there, Velvet. Maybe we should start there.
I think so.
Okay, I think that might be a good idea.
Okay, thank you so much. You can see I'm a little distractible tonight.
Keeping us in line, Velvet.
Yeah, good. So
Ryan,
I will offer a resolution to approve those budget changes as listed. So the account lines are A 9040.8 from 22,052 to 23,144, DA 9040.8 from 25,850 to 19,702, SF 9040.8 from 6080 to 6703, A 9060.8 from 57,652 to 28,753, A 9060.81 from 10,800 to 7,200, A 3620.1 from whatever it was to 56,160. And then the amounts of fund balance applied for the A fund will be changed from 92,000 to 76,000. And for DA from 300,000 to 278,000. Do I have a second?
Can I make a suggestion next time?
Yeah,
As a millennial or whatever I'm right now, I'm Gen X. You could take a picture of that and submit it as record and you don't have to read it, right?
okay,
Just saying,
I could-
it might speed things up.
yeah.
I don't know if that's legal, but it seems like it would make sense.
I wanted to make sure that, yeah, you're right.
Also, we have people in the public usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm,
So I'll second that.
okay, thanks, but I hear your point. I mean,
It'll also get on the record. I don't know if that's being submitted to the,
well,
How
it'll
it
be in
gets
the
into the
minutes,
minutes,
I
right.
wanted to make sure it was captured in the minutes,
Yeah.
but I could have done it that way. I thought about saying I did go through this earlier, and, but I was just being double sure, so. So seconded by Kate, right?
Yep.
Anybody want to change the budget further?
What do
No?
you think?
Okay.
Let's add $300,000 to,
Town board, like, so,
There's that vacation.
Velvet's pay,
to Velvet's pay.
Velvet's pay.
yeah, oh, that's right, we should have known that, no, so. So with that, I will offer those changes. And with those changes that to adopt as the 2025 adopted budget. And Kate, you seconded that.
I
right?
seconded it, yep.
So, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Wow, we just adopted the budget. So-
Yeah,
Okay,
off and running.
off and running, yeah.
another year.
Mhm. Let's see, committee reports. anybody has in whoever's willing.
I forgot my notes about the planning board, I will say, but off the top of my head. I think, I don't think I've mentioned this before, I think they're thinking of changing the law. So that rather than adult use, it's because that would include cannabis. It would be adult entertainment.
Mm.
And I think they are reaching a point where they may need guidance from the town board as to how far to proceed. The problem, one of the problems is, according to our zoning, that, you know, adult entertainment is allowed only in the commercial district. But there are also footage requirements for how far they have to be from, say, a school or a church. And so if you.
In state law.
It's
Or in our zoning law?
In our zoning law,
Oh,
so
okay.
in that case, basically there would be no place for adult entertainment in our town, because they're located in the commercial district. There's not enough space for it to be however many feet from a church that it's supposed to be.
Or a school or a.
Right,
I don't understand that. How many feet do they have to be?
I forget, it's in the,
I mean,
1,000 maybe?
it might be 1,000, I'd have to look at the thing, I'd have to look at my notes. So you can't forbid them, you can't make them so that, because that
Right.
violates,
Yeah, that would be.
well, I mean, if that's
so,
the case, have they considered reducing the distance?
yes,
Since it will be in the.
that's
commercial
one
zone?
possibility. Or another possibility is allowing it, say, in the ag district. That would, you know,
So it would
so,
require changing the zoning law.
yes. Yeah.
So that's different than, there's those signs that say no, a drug-free zone on a school grounds. That's a
Right, because this is
different thing.
adult entertainment, this doesn't have
different-
anything to do with drugs. This is strip joints and,
But you were saying it's the
Cannabis.
cannabis too.
I said, well, if it's called the adult use law, that would include cannabis. But this is only, so they want it to be the adult entertainment law.
And that's what it's called now?
Right now, it's called the adult entertainment law.
So the adult use though.
I mean, right now, it's called the adult use law, and they want to make it so it's adult entertainment.
Right.
But that includes cannabis.
No,
No.
adult use includes cannabis, which right now, I think all the laws in Tompkins County apparently are very old. They're all like from the 80s or 90s. And so they say adult use, which now would
It
include
means cannabis.
cannabis.
Oh.
Why not alcohol?
Well, I don't know, I'm not getting into that, it just doesn't.
Well, I'm so sorry,
So-
I don't know what adult use is, as I'm trying to
So,
understand,
right.
I'm thinking we do have places.
Well, maybe
for
it does
alcohol.
include, but we're not dealing with that, we're only dealing with adult entertainment.
Entertainment, okay.
And that's why they want to change it to adult entertainment, so they're only concerned with
Right,
pornographic bookstores, strip joints,
Yeah.
whatever, they are not including where you might consume cannabis or alcohol.
right.
Okay,
It's just a nomenclature change that's happened
Yes.
over time, so.
Yeah.
no, because okay. Because the alcohol is being sold now. Say, by say Brooklands Market, and that's why I was just confused, if alcohol and cannabis are both adult uses, we already have an adult use situation going on. in
Right, that's
Canada.
why they want to change it to adult entertainment,
Okay,
I guess it matters what you call the law,
yes.
so that's what she said.
yeah,
Yes.
okay,
So-
I'm just trying to understand.
Right,
What is it you don't understand?
So you have adult use, then you have adult entertainment.
Right.
They don't mix, they're two separate
Right.
things. And right
Currently-
now, you're just talking about the adult entertainment part.
Yes.
Yes, got it.
And I think right now the law says adult use, so they want to specify that they mean adult entertainment,
Okay,
not.
but we'll
adult-
still have adult use.
I don't think there is an adult use law.
There's a zoning law.
There's a zoning law, but we're talking about the adult entertainment law
Right,
right
which
now.
is before the
Okay.
zoning.
Because that hasn't been changed since the 80s or 90s.
It's the 90s, I
and
think.
cannabis is regulated by the state regulations, and alcohol is
Yes.
regulated by the state.
So they don't wanna get-
License, so,
They're not trying to regulate those items,
Yeah.
those things. They're only trying to regulate
Entertainment.
entertainment.
Okay,
Sounds like a good idea to me.
So one option would be to not do anything and wait until somebody tries to put an adult entertainment facility in the commercial district, then realize they can't meet all the requirements.
That there's no way to do it,
Right.
right?
And then that would, probably
Start a
result in a
lawsuit.
challenge, yeah, in a lawsuit, and then
You
you
could
could,
be a lawsuit with it, I mean, couldn't they go before the zoning board and say, hey, look.
Zoning board.
whatever, but there would be,
Appeals, yeah.
there'd be a challenge.
Then they would just.
Personally, I'd rather have them challenge it.
Or, try changing the districts or try to. So I think that's where I have to look, again, I apologize, I should,
Okay.
sorry, I didn't get much sleep last night, so anyway,
Yeah.
I forgot to look at my notes. As I recall, there were 3 possibilities, so I think one would change the footage, change the zoning districts,
Mhm.
wait for a challenge.
Yeah, just don't do anything and.
Right.
Well, the simplest thing would be to change the footage.
So, well,
Yeah,
then you think, well, how
well,
close do you want
yeah.
it to a church? I mean, that Baptist church is quite close to the commercial.
So when we, so I went to this thing, when do you change the zoning law? And, when do you update it and what you should look for? And part of it was, you look for where there've been problems, with the zoning board, run into this problem,
Yeah.
3 or 4 times. And so then there's like a list of things that when the zoning law is reviewed to update it. I mean, could we put that on a list to update it? I'm just saying that
Yeah, that's a possibility.
We have I think we have, don't we have a list of things we might update on, or we have?
Oh, yeah, I've scribbled some things in the
That's what I
notebook.
thought, yeah.
Anyway,
I would assume that we would want to include adult entertainment in the ag district as opposed to the commercial district where it's currently permitted.
you would want to do that or not?
No,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to,
then there'd be no reason to change the zoning law. That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
Right, okay.
So,
So-
yeah, there's discussion about that anyway, but I think, they want to consult with Guy Crow about some things. And because he sent some, laws that are not local, but are more recent,
Mhm.
that you could use as, as a model, but there's still discussion going on about that. But basically Lansing, everybody's laws are all like very
Yeah.
old, so. Just looking around at what's being done currently would not be helpful.
Here, at least, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, this is a general needing to update laws, there's not like this influx of adult film
No,
corner stores coming into town or something.
no, it was purely, they were looking, they created a list of laws they might look at and,
Yeah, they're just sweeping up.
yeah.
Sure.
The adult entertainment there, the trailer park laws on there. I thought it was stormwater, but I guess it still said it was flood protection.
What about,
What?
we've updated our flood law very recently.
Okay, well,
It's in
maybe,
great shape.
anyway,
Mhm.
I thought we said maybe they should look at the stormwater protection.
Oh, yeah, no, Bill and I have talked about
Okay,
that, so it would be if we wanted to consider disallowing development in 100-year flood zone,
Yeah,
which I personally am in favor of doing that.
yeah,
The current flood damage protection law, if someone does, they have to build, above the mean high water mark, they have to take
Yeah.
certain precautions in their building. But,
Like the one down here that's in process. Just that's
yeah,
what they're doing, they wanna raise it up, right, to try to get,
oh, is that right?
I don't know, it seems to me like. That's why there's giant machinery sitting there for months on end.
No,
Where's that?
that's because
the,
It's on
they had
hold.
to go to the county regarding
Septic,
drainage right away from
Oh,
the county
un-
right away. And
Yeah.
under the road.
So everything is stalled, waiting for that all to get
Yeah,
worked out.
I mean, that actually has been stopped because it's being reviewed by the review
Yeah.
board. And it's
It's in process.
there were issues. The interesting thing about that, though, is that I'm not sure any of that property is in the 100-year floodplain because it's really high up
Mhm.
from the street.
Right, I mean, he did put fill in there to raise it up, and I believe part of the discussion is that the fill is not stable enough. They're saying different fill, but.
For a septic.
For Yeah.
I don't know,
so-
I mean.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't think that
I don't know
discussion
the
is
details.
in
I
the
don't.
review board
So-
discussion,
Anyway.
so if you have information, you should pass it along.
Anyway,
I haven't
yeah.
heard that.
Getting back to the other thing, yeah, they're just looking at things that need to be cleaned up and, or might have been recommended in the the zoning. Commission recommended that they look at some laws to
Mhm.
update them.
Yeah,
So that's the only reason there is, because I think it's been agreed that, especially now with the internet, there's like less call for, say,
yeah,
adult entertainment spaces.
Mhm.
So,
This all started because there was the strip joint in McLean,
Mhm.
and there was one out in Newfield.
Enfield.
Right.
Enfield, which
So
I,
then all these little towns
Yeah.
panicked and started passing laws.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've been driving by the one that's in Enfield, because that's where I take my dog when I.
They've converted it, right?
Yeah, they paint it so it's like a house.
Oh, really?
I heard it's like a rental space for
Yeah.
like events and
Okay.
stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was.
It's for sale though, I think
It's
it's for sale.
gone.
Oh, it's gone?
Well,
Well, it's gone.
the venue is gone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
there's no
converted it.
Yeah,
There's no sign, I mean, I think when I first started driving there, like last year, the sign is still there, but that's like gone and they've
what it
repainted.
really means is the fraternities aren't frequenting it anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anyway,
It's the internet.
yeah, so, yeah, so there hasn't been any, sudden movement or anything.
I don't think it will be.
Yeah.
I think it's just a kind of curiosity or whatever, it's kind of,
The whole,
but I would, yeah,
pornographic bookstores thing is kind of interesting. I mean,
the what?
the pornographic bookstore thing is kind of interesting, at least up in New Hampshire, like. You can go into a gas station and they basically have a little section. And I don't know, do they do that here?
They used to,
So I don't know if that counts.
right?
No, those are trade magazines, I think. No, but generally, I think that's. what it
Yeah, I
was.
mean, the one in, trying to think, the first one the Hamlet one where you just mentioned, they
McLean.
had McLean, I think it was like a topless thing or something, and then people started taking pictures of people frequenting it.
Oh,
And, so there was this,
yeah.
upset, so people don't want their photos taken.
And now with Facebook, it would be out there like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, so that's all I have to say about what's happening with the planning board meeting, and I believe the next meeting is the 19th.
Right.
Okay. It seems to me like the mobile home park law would be
Paths
an
and
important
more.
one too.
Yeah, I think it kind of split it up that a couple of people would work on that and a couple of people.
Okay.
But some people haven't been there for various reasons, so I'm not entirely sure where things are with the
Okay,
mobile home.
great. Great, thanks, Michelle.
No.
Anything else? We got an ag committee update,
Yep,
Didn't you say anything? I just,
yeah. Monica.
Monica was here.
Mira,
I guess
Monica
the
came.
broadband is moving along, there's been lots of poll permits done and.
So I saw a USIC truck, which I guess is for telephone poles or something. Is that related to broadband or is that,
It could be,
it was up by my corner on Speed Hill.
Hans is putting out a lot of applications,
Oh,
right, for poll permits. And so I know in front of my house, there was like people down there measuring the poles in order to get the information they needed to then say yes to the permit or not. That was a month ago, I think. So, but there also have been, Spectrum has just upgraded our cable. So it was interesting. And it's, yeah, so that's,
so yeah, so I don't know what this was, it was just a truck,
So
the guy was
there's-
just sitting there, I didn't see any measuring and it's I looked at the side of it just, and I've seen them around, but yeah, it's USIC Protecting America's Underground Utilities, that's what was, USIC was on the truck, so I don't know.
I don't know.
I suspect it's related, I expect they are, because they come out, they do surveys that I think
Right.
Kate was describing. So, yeah,
Cause I think it would say Frontier or something, if it was Frontier.
Well, sometimes these crews are running around measuring for potential gas drilling and stuff like this, or gas lines.
It could be a number of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay. Interesting.
yeah, that'd be great. Let's
Yep.
switch in a second.
Um,
Agenda,
Agenda items for next meeting, we'll have the public hearing on the ag plan to start with.
we're gonna deal with the marijuana thing.
We probably should. And the person that contacted me about that sent me some, it may be what I sent you before, but I'll forward what she sent. She sent some information she had promised to do.
Okay.
So, yeah. um, It's horrifying to say, but it's getting near the end of the year, so we should probably start, thinking about year-end stuff. Maybe I should line up personnel policy for 2025, so. That's all I can think of right now.
I'd like to move ahead with sort of, Caroline disaster plan. Do you
Oh,
want to have that for like in the next year?
oh, that's a great point.
I was
So,
gonna bring up the same thing,
okay, that's what you had your hand up for. Okay,
cause Mark and I had some email communication about it.
Oh, good.
yeah, I was gonna,
I've got the binder at home, but I haven't started reading it over.
That's
so
the
you guys talking about the same
2004
thing? Or
That the 2004,
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
are you talking about your disaster plan?
Well, my disaster plan, we could just finish that off and then, we don't need much, but I was talking about moving on to
the town,
the town.
Right,
and that's,
okay,
that, I looked at it, it's on the website,
Oh, is
and
it?
it's from 2004.
Oh, okay. I
And
just,
so,
Don did it, I think.
yes,
Yeah,
and so I called Jessica at the county,
yeah,
cause I asked Don about it,
yeah.
and he said, talk to them, and she said, good timing. Apparently, the county is going through a process of redoing
Redoing.
theirs,
Okay,
and in part of that, they're including a template for towns to use.
all right.
And and if you read that one that Don did, it actually is from a template,
Yeah.
and so this will be a new
I knew it.
template.
Okay, so I won't, maybe I should bother reading it then, is that right? Or
It's good to just kind of
look at it.
browse
I
through
think I
it.
looked through it once, but
My guess is there's gonna be some differences.
yeah.
Um,
So whenever because for like the building disaster plan, we need to talk to Greg Harrington, I guess, at some point to, first of all, because I'm still not clear about water shutoffs in the crawl space in the new building. But it would be nice to have, I guess Greg would be the one, right, to give us a tour of like where the stuff is.
yeah, we can map them.
Yeah, a map and stuff. So that's basically it. Jesse and Velvet filled in a bunch of stuff. Like I think everything's filled in that we need. So it's a matter of the maps. And I talked to the insurance or emailed the insurance guy. I still have to do the thing about getting an agreement with Polygon, but then it would just be a matter of making copies of it, so everybody's got a copy. So I guess I'm kind of considering that done, but I don't know when you wanted to start moving on with the townwide one.
And I think it'd be fine to have them, doing both, having maybe one done before the other, but it seems to me that they're relevant together. Cause in the townwide one, it's clear that there are people that are important to be as leadership or responsibility,
Yeah,
and it names names like the supervisor, but
okay,
then if you had the other one that had the supervisor and a phone number,
Mhm.
the town one doesn't necessarily call out people's names and numbers. It's
Mhm.
more general,
I
like the
see.
supervisor is responsible for X. But to have it,
Well, we don't really want phone numbers in those documents.
no, I'm just saying, but for us as responsible parties for a disaster,
Right.
having those numbers available.
Yeah, so the one, the town one, I mean, the building one, for our own personal copy, I mean, the numbers are in there
Right.
because they're not gonna go up on the web, but they're just for our own copies, for like a few. But,
But we need to know who to call too.
yeah, so that's, they're in.
Right, I remember.
Yeah. But, so I mean, this isn't on the agenda for now, so I just didn't know when you wanted to put the, about how to. Because one thing I noticed, so I did look at that little video thing that Beth sent, the FEMA thing about how the responsibilities of the town board and how they work, and they talk about having a disaster coordinator. The town board works with the disaster coordinator.
I asked Jessica that, at
Who's-
the county,
oh.
she's a county deputy.
She's, yeah, she's the second, she's the
Yeah.
second there.
She said it's common for most towns around here that the supervisor is that person.
Oh, okay,
And it's not a paid staff person, even though it will say that in this template, it'll say
The
the
coordinator.
coordinator,
Mhm.
but then it'll say the coordinator is usually the supervisor,
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that it was gonna be a paid position, but I just wasn't sure.
but it can be.
Yeah, but I mean, with our budget, I don't see how it can, but anyway, but I didn't know who that person would be, because it sounds like, it's- all roads lead to.
This is gonna be a very simple document.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so we might want to put this stuff on the agenda at some point in the future. if we
I
wanna
think,
talk about it.
so we were in a meeting recently and Beth mentioned this, that
Yeah.
that she's apparently called a meeting and they're working on this
Oh,
now. You were at the meeting.
But she didn't invite us.
Well, but I think she would,
Well, I'm thinking about going.
accept,
when is?
Oh, it hasn't happened yet?
No, it's December, I
Oh, I
thought.
thought it had already happened.
Well, they met already, and then there's another one.
Oh,
That's-
okay.
Yeah.
so I'm gonna let her know that, to let me know when,
Yeah.
I'd like to
Yeah,
go.
I mean, whoever, maybe I'd wanna go.
Yeah,
Cause it doesn't make, they're doing great, it's great that they're meeting, it's great they have concerns, but it doesn't make sense for them to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Like if the county is gonna come out with a template
I agree.
and the hierarchy is the hierarchy of the way things.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not rocket
You
science.
can't
Yeah.
create a new
Yeah.
emergency plan when there's one that,
It's not like we have 20 agencies in town.
no.
Yeah, so, okay,
Great, well, that sounds good. I mean, I think it's, yeah. And I realize I have good floor plans for these two buildings from Steve Gibeon. They're really nice.
oh, okay, great, so.
And we can, yeah. talk to
So I'll talk to you sometime soon, we can just, and then sunset, we can just make copies, everybody's got
Okay.
their copy, and then you know who to call, and that's it.
Great. Very good.
Well, we'll check mark that.
Shall I call an executive session now?
Sure. Okay, do we have to second or anything? No.
Yeah, so offer a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel with the code office.
Second.
Second by Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the time is 8:47. Did you get all that, Velvet? Are you awake? Are you there? Hi, Velvet.
Okay, I couldn't get myself unmuted.
Oh, okay. I thought you were sleeping.
No, I was trying to type the time and you had to change it from Kate to Tim and mess me all up, so I had to go do that.
You can use the time that you have, whatever it is. So
Yep,
anyway.
I got it. Yep, I
Okay.
got it.
All right.
I'll sign off then.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks
Yep,
so much.
bye.
See you in the morning. Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.